As expected. Again, I think similar. You know, when you have the series and you're in those in between areas, between arcs, like it's generally a cool down chapter, stuff to get people more comfortable, just kind of get them nicely positioned, relaxed, and just in a comfortable spot in between you go into whatever the next arc is. And similar to like when we had the fairy nail stuff, we had a pretty calm, quiet, collected chapter, and then we got into the more serious stuff. I don't think we're gonna have nearly as long as like cooldown as after the Mercephobia arc, because we had like we did like showing like Georg. We got Georg revealed. We found out about the other dragon gods. Then we had the fairy nail, and then the reveal of Alderaan chapter and stuff. And obviously like Julia and everyone showing up. Like there was definitely some. I think it took longer based off what was set up, but I think in the next chapter we'll be getting a lot of information about the White Witch and stuff with Selene, because we got a new name drop in this chapter, which is very interesting. Like I didn't know how many like new characters we're really gonna get now, because like the thing is like we have the dragon gods, and then we have like the White Witch. We don't have her name yet. We have Diablos and stuff and those members, but like outside of that, like any character, like I guess Elefsera too, but like outside of like the people established, I didn't expect, like I just don't expect like big character names to get dropped anymore. At least not in this arc. Like if we got something beyond 100 Years Quest, like Ankh Saram, like and stuff established, that's one thing. But like I just feel like there's not like there anyone that's like big and mentioned, it's so out of left field, and it's just really interesting in my opinion, just because you're getting mysterious people that who knows what they're like. What like this strange character mentioned at the end, which I'll talk to. I want to get through like the bulk of the chapter, because the bulk of it was fun. I thought it was entertaining, and we got a lot of like goofy stuff and a lot of just like playful stuff between the characters. And I don't know, some people didn't like it. I thought it was funny. I chuckled. I enjoyed what was given to us, because as much as I wanted like to get closer to like finding out stuff like, oh, what's Selene up to? Like when are we gonna see her dragon form? Like it's very certain stuff like that, like very specific, kind of just me being impatient things. Obviously, I'm gonna always want to see, but at the same time, it's like I did assume that a cooldown chapter and just kind of getting. Like I said, just getting kind of people in a nice spot before we end up getting to more crazy stuff is not surprising. But anyway, right now in this, like just starting out like the chapter, essentially, like we get to the chapter itself, we get to we just kind of like understand like, okay, well, what right now is going to be the big move in this chapter? Because I was really hoping when it came to this chapter, no matter what, that we are going to get something important in it, and we did get the last couple pages. So, like I said, I'm pretty happy about that. But let's talk about the chapter itself. I think I can keep this one pretty short. I think I can keep it under 20 minutes, because like the big stuff usually that I want to talk about is hang on a second, someone's messaging me. The stuff I want to talk about usually is like the stuff at the end. I could probably do like a lot of I could do a lot of I could do a lot of talking about. I was trying really hard to like type and speak at the same time, but I did that thing where you start typing what you were saying. But I can talk a lot about this weird name dropped at the end, like Elentier, like this interesting. But right now, like, let me reset the music, so the music is going. This one day I'm gonna get a second song. But like the start of the chapter, like it's just girls. They're in a bathhouse. They're just doing their things, nice, getting relaxed. Everyone's happy. I did like the Alderaan style, like little hot spring bath. I thought that was just neat. Looks like a wide boy as hell though in that one. He looked way wider than he should be. But well, they're just like talking about it. I understand from their standpoint, it's like probably really weird. Well, the fact that they just went through like a big battle with Alderaan to be bathing in like a miniature version of him, but at the same time, it's like that thing's kind of cool. I don't know. I wonder what it would be like for Alderaan to see this. He'd probably like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I don't know. It'd be very strange if somebody built a bath in the shape of you. I think that'd be really weird. But like the characters, they're just doing their thing. I see like Lockie and stuff, and Kanina, and I assume that's her. It looks just like her. I mean, I don't think there's a name drop, and it looks like Lackey. But Lucy's walking up, looking at the Alderaan statue, and then like all of a sudden it starts getting bigger, and it's actually not her. Or it's not getting bigger. She's getting smaller because look, Brandish showing up as she does out of nowhere and just doing Brandish things, shenanigans, and like trolling people. I do like that a lot about Brandish. She indirectly, like not even while trying, just manages to trigger the hell out of anybody that she interacts with. People just get annoyed with her all the time because she's just always doing stuff to piss people off, like without even intending it. Like she shrinks them down, like Lucy after getting shrunk. Like you see her like Urza really wanting to get shrunk, and like poor Wendy getting made fun of by Carla too, just making fun of her how she's already really small. But like they're all just having fun in like this large bath style that is now like this giant. For them, it's literally like a hot springs lake, and they're just having fun. Like they're taking stuff that those like I don't know what it's called. The Japanese like the way that the water like the bamboo rods. And it kind of like drips water down one place and then goes down and then pours it and it goes back up, like gets full and then comes back down again. I don't know what those are called, but they're like using them for like water slides and stuff. I did like Lucy surfing on the soap just because like it was brought up when people like were saying how she was acting like Natsu, because I think that she just has certain traits that she's picked up from him, which I do really like. I thought that was very fun just from a character standpoint of seeing that even if she's a much different person in a lot of ways, that they've kind of like they've influenced each other, I think, a good amount. Like Natsu's gotten smarter since he's met Lucy, and Lucy's gotten more reckless and more fun, I think, since she's met him. But she's like looking around, leaving as they're trying to find Brandish, because Brandish gets up and leave, does her Brandish thing. Just no thought about like what was to happen, like if she just got up and walked off, but just got up and walked off. And then like while they're all searching, this is the funny one that I think it's more funny to see people react. I actually I was fine with this happening in the chapter because people, like there were some people that got really butthurt over it. I was like, who the F cares? Like Juvia, like Will Small goes and finds Gray and like crawls up on him. And then after like the point of like her like jumping to embrace him, her towel falls off, she gets embarrassed. And then Elfman shows up, so she tries to hide. And then she jumps inside of Gray's mouth to hide. And like, people took it as like some like more of like a fetish thing of like some vor stuff, and I'm just like, it was done in like a gag way, and Juvia even said like it was too much, and she thought it was kind of strange. I don't know, but what I thought was funny is like some people got really like rustled by it and like we're getting pissed, and I'm just like, who the fuck cares? I don't know. I think it's kind of funny just off of the reactions, but other than that, it's just like it's not done in like it's not really done in a way outside of just being goofy. And like even Juvia's like, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't the move. I shouldn't have done this. This is not for me. I did think that was kind of funny that even Juvia's like, this is too far. I need to get the hell out of here. But the stuff with Gajiel and Levy was nice. It was really wholesome when she's like making jokes, or like when Pantoli's making jokes of, regardless, like he's much bigger than her. Even while she shrunk down, it's just like she's just smaller. She's already going to be really small in comparison. And Gajiel just bring up, oh, well, that's going to be a nice story to tell her kid. And it's some nice wholesomeness between them. I like that a lot. I thought that was definitely one of the parts of the chapter that was just all around delightful. I think anybody could read that part and just be like, nice, that's just good, happy vibes. Everyone liked it. It was that meme. Everyone enjoyed it. Everyone likes the Levy and Gajiel wholesome vibes. But after that, like, Natsu decides to, he's like thinking about messing with Lucy. You can see the look on his face when he comes across her, and he picks her up and he's like freaking out for a second, and then that smile on his face, he's just like, what can I do in this situation? What can I do to mess with her? But she caught on to it. She's just like, no, stop. You're not doing this. You got more important things to worry about. I'm small. And like, while they're like, okay, what we'll do is we'll go out and find Brandish. I liked Lucy riding on Natsu's head. It reminded me a lot of Sekri, Nero and Asta. They both got head riding girls now. But like immediately they find Brandish. Like there's no like couple pages of them searching. It's just like, all right, we'll go out on the hunt. They go outside. Brandish is just outside. She's just hanging out. and she's like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that. Undoes it. Like, obviously, like, awkward scenes. Like, Lucy's just in a towel, and now she's just, like, pushed Natsu to the ground, like she's just on his back. You have some goofy scenes like that. Like, Wendy's just popping up in her towel, embarrassed. Same thing with Mira and Lizana. Juvia's this, like, Gray's is done really funny. The thing with Juvia's, though, I did think was kind of funny in the way that it worked out is like when Gray, like when she was in Gray's mouth, I was like, well, what would happen if he accidentally bit down on her? But I'm like, oh yeah, she just, because of her magic, she just turned into water. So like essentially she grew back to normal, but she did it as water in Gray's mouth. So he just probably was standing there, and all of a sudden you just see like, hey Gray, what's wrong? And then he just probably starts throwing up water, and then it's just Juvia reforms. You just be like, what are you assholes doing? What is this? I think that is actually probably the more funny part from like Elfman's standpoint. I think that might be the funniest part of that whole debacle, besides the people getting butthurt on the internet. But of course, for poor Urza, she just becomes normally sized naked right next to Jalal. She just cannot catch a break. She's always getting embarrassed in front of him. Like, they need to hurry up, and like Mishima needs to make that like full on ship. Like, Jalal needs to marry her after he's seen her like this so many times, a pure girl like Urza. But you can tell Lucy's bothered. And the thing I liked, though, with Lucy being mad at Brandish, legitimately, I think was the way that it played well in this chapter, is before Brandish left, you had like a moment when they had like the whole like, oh, competition for finding Aquarius's key, and you had like a rivalry moment between them, which I really like. Because Lucy's never really had a rival. Like, Levy was always more of a friend. Urza and Wendy, even though they were in the main cast, neither of them really were set up like a rival. Like, Gray and Gajil are pretty much Natsu's rivals. Like, Gray moreover than not, but then kind of Gajil at the same time. But Lucy just never really had a rival, so it never really crossed my mind of her needing one. But Brandish really, I think, especially after this chapter, has set the tone somewhat for them. And especially with their backstory, what they've gone through, and what they think and what we know they're both doing, looking for the Aquarius key, it just fits so well. And I like that a lot. I really like seeing these two characters and just having their moment with each other in this one. I thought that was just nice. It was... I imagine a lot of like Brandish fans were super stoked, because Brandish does have a pretty strong fan base. So seeing probably what they were hyped for, probably just got them all like up in the air, hoping for more Brandish. Who knows what Brandish is gonna do? Like if she's gonna even be in the next arc, or if we're gonna see her like maybe an arc after that doing stuff with Viernes or Ignia. Either way, more Brandish. Still appreciated, always liked. But after that point, like it's back at the inn. You have Toka sleep. The White Witch starts to wake up. Warren and Max are just like, shit. Because like they're watching him, and like we saw, Max is definitely stronger. Like I'm curious to know where he ranks without Wendy's buff, considering he's still trained with Agil. So I imagine he's still really powerful. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he was like low wizard saint tier, not from just like his latent potential, but more of like you had a very powerful teacher. So it's like if you trained with this guy for a year, this guy who's way above like a low wizard saint, drastically above him, and he raised him up to his level, I'd believe that. I think that'd be like, okay, yeah, that sounds perfectly fine. Big teacher, obviously big power increase, but they're not going to be able to do anything here if her aggression turns towards them. They're done. I think she's going to leave. If she doesn't stay with the guild, then she's going to leave. She's technically the strongest member of the Fairy Tail Guild right now, because she's still a member. But like when she wakes up, she has this obvious statement right here. She's like, Elentier, swallowed the moon, the white, there's not enough white. So I'm wondering what exactly she means by this. I'm wondering what this is all going to go down, because this is a very, very weird statement in an opening, or I guess really the ending of an arc. Whether you want to look at it as the ending for the Alderaan arc, or kind of like the opening for the Selene arc, intermission between the two arcs. Either way, like it's definitely a very strange setup. Like it's a very strange setup to really be going towards for the, what's going on with Selene and the White Witch, because we don't know really anything about the White Witch. We don't know what her goal is overall, really. We just know her whole thing about turning things white, so like, voiding out magic, erasing the high levels of magic and whatnot. But outside of like the general idea, like we know nothing about her. We don't even know her name. I've brought that up multiple times. We don't even know her name. So Here it's just it's weird. Like, we don't really know exactly like where she's gonna play already, and then on top of that, we get this extremely ominous statement about, you know, about like just events. Like, we don't know who the fuck Ellentir is. We don't know what like swallowing the moon really means. Is there gonna be a character literally that comes like out of space or something and consumes the moon? Maybe that's what Selene is trying to do, is there's a character we don't know about that is like the contender for Selene, and they're going to end up trying to like compete with Selene in order to like do something with the moon. Because like, if it was just Selene, I don't know why she would just say Selene, or, you know, something like the moon dragon goddess. But it's like, if she swallowed the moon, like, I don't know if it would make too much sense, because like, if she you know, if she loves the moon, why would she want to do something bad to it? Like, this has to be some form of new character or some form of creature. Maybe this is the creature she's trying to do. Like, maybe there's some form of monster in the fairy tale world we don't know about that is coming for the moon, and Selene wants to be like, oh no, I'm going to direct you towards Earth instead. Because the moon is magic. We do know that. We do know that some aspects about the moon. The question would be like, why, you know, why is it like happening now? Like, what's going on with this creature? What exactly is this really gonna be? Like, is this something above the dragon gods? Is this gonna be like the big enemy for really the 100 Years Quest, or is there gonna be something else? Because I still have like my theory, because if it's going for the moon, like the moon has magic, why does it want to eat the moon? I still have my theory that like maybe Acnologia isn't actually dead, like, because the fact that he kind of like consumed the space between time and stuff. Maybe he almost transcends time or something, and like maybe he died and like almost became one with it and became like a different being or something. Because I think that Hiroshima it would make sense of why he would want to try and like do more with Acnologia, like in 100 Years Quest, through some weird power shenanigans, whether it's like some weird necromancer or, like I said, like some almost ascension thing. Just because I think I think a lot of people believe he got rushed in the Alvarez arc, and I don't know, I'd be perfectly okay if there was some way that he worked into the story now to where we got to see him like way more utilized. I don't know. Because that could be his real name. Because like, as far as we know, Ellentir could be his real name. Like, we don't know who that is, but we know that Acnologia from the anime, like, that's not the name that was originally his. That was the dragon elder of where he was from, in their town of Monte Secreta, that he loomed over. Like, that Acnologia was the elder dragon that was pretty much the leader of there, and the doctor is the one who later became a dragon slayer who took up the name Acnologia. So could that be him? I don't know. Again, it's kind of hard speculator, like, to kind of look at it from a speculative position, because it's with a name we have nothing to really work with. Like, this would be like if back in the day, like, imagine back on Sirius Island. Imagine Sirius Island, and Zareth just mentioned Acnologia. And if you wanted to do a lot of theory crafting, you could think back like, oh, well, maybe that was the dragon Gildarts mentioned or something, because it was just black dragon, powerful. We didn't know its name or something. It was something that we could potentially, if we were doing like theory stuff at the time, be like, oh, well, maybe this is it. But who knows what exactly it's going to be? Who knows, like, if it's going to be maybe an equivalent of him, or if it's going to actually be him. I think I'd be perfectly fine with it. Legitimately, I'd be perfectly fine with, like, if somehow Acnologia was able to come back, but maybe, like, more powerful and with more going on. And if Eleftheria was doing it, not too sure. Like, because I do think that whatever I think whatever the White Witch is kind of like more, I think what her story is going to lean towards is going to have something to do with Eleftheria's, because I think Eleftheria starting out the 100 Years Quest being in the first pages is going to have something relevant to what we see later. I think it's going to be something bigger than just, oh, well, we had, it was just the opening. It was just going to show you, like, the start of the guild. I think it's going to be something way bigger. And then, like, there's the statement for him when he's talking about how magic isn't evil, and he's essentially why there's guilds. So her, who talks about how like enough magic in one place eventually becoming evil, goes against obviously that base kind of statement that he put out there. So it would make sense if they were somehow enemies or adversaries or whatever. Plus, they're both not as old as like something like Acnologia and Zareth, because it was only a little over 100. It was like 100 plus years ago that the guilds were formed. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. We'll see. Obviously, like 100 years quest, but I don't want to go into specific dates. But it's easier to say 100. But yeah, I think that there's definitely like a lot to really work out when it comes to what this name is, what is their upcoming, because like it reminds me a lot of when Zareth first mentioned Acnologia. It's this very out of nowhere, no real context, ominous, like scary scene, and you're just like, who knows how this is gonna go? Like, is this gonna be like another big shot? Is it gonna be like somebody who's above them that is working, or that LFC is working for, or is it like the actual version originally, like Acnologia? Because maybe they'll have something like Acnologia was worshipped by LFC, because we didn't really get anybody that saw Acnologia like in the same position as like where they saw Zareth. But like if you had potentially like a some dude who I think you could work into some like magical cultist style like setup for Acnologia. Like he was definitely like a very powerful like dominating being, and plus we already have the dragon gods each have their own worshippers, so I think it'd be cool if we had like one Acnologia one. I think that'd be badass. But yeah, anyway, because I mean like maybe also like you could do like, oh, he learned dragon slaying because like he looked up the Acnologia at one point or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of like thinking of theories off the top of my head right now. But as it were, it's definitely time to wait, and just 2 weeks. We're gonna have to wait 2 weeks, and then we'll get back to the rest of the series. We'll get back to whatever goes on in this next arc. The first few days are definitely the hardest for definitely going to be the hardest when it comes to the bi-weekly. I was talking about people about this on the stream. Like I think after this weekend, the rest is easy. Like that first week is really like the first like 3 days is the hardest when it comes to like the wait for a new chapter, because it's like by the time you get to like Friday and then it's the weekend, you forget about it, and then by the time the weekend's over, it's like, oh well, we're already halfway to the next chapter. Sweet, let's get to it. But yeah, other than that, like it's most of this was pretty fast to go through. Usually like my fairy tale review ones are like 30 minutes plus. I'm definitely not going to need nearly that much for this chapter, since a majority of this chapter was like comedy, character interactions, and like I said, some really nice scene for Lucy and Brandish. But then, like, my big focus, obviously, is on stuff more towards plot and bigger characters to come. Like if this character, Elentier, is going to be, like, a big deal and not, like, an event or a concept, it's, like, a specific character, then obviously it's going to be a significant up-and-coming individual. Like, I don't know. It's definitely going to be really interesting to see unfold, and I can't wait to like once we get information on this Elentier thing, that we can look back on this chapter like, oh shit, remember this, like remember when this happened, like remember when we found information, and then maybe see where else the story kind of like leads to. Like maybe there's other references throughout the series that exist, just haven't seen them yet. But anyway, other than that though, comment below, thumbs up the video, prefer the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.